Hi, this is Daniel Blankenship. I'm going to be teaching today about JavaScript objects. I was asked to speak about associative arrays, and this is JavaScript's equivalent. I thought I would continue to focus on JavaScript. That way we can, since this is what we're going to be using in this class. So first of all, I'm just going to go from top to bottom. I'm going to make something known first. I'm going to be using this function over and over again because I'm going to be iterating and printing out elements of an object. So let me explain something first. So in other languages, they have something called an associative array. Well, JavaScript does not have something called an associative array. The reason for this is that they have something called an object, that it's an object-based language. So since they have objects, they can do things like this. You'll see here that I created a variable called person, and then I open up a curly brace and close a curly brace here and with a semicolon. And in here I have name value pairs. So the name of my first property is name, the value is Fred. The name of my second property is age, the value is 25. So in other languages they have similar concepts to where they have a name value pair. So if you ever hear the term associative array in JavaScript, well, that doesn't really exist, but their objects can serve the same purpose. So let's go over this first way. I'll skip back just a little bit. So here we learn of how to initialize an object. You simply assign a variable an empty object like this, and that's the syntax for an object. You see here that we assign a variable called person to an object with values in it. This is another way to do the exact same thing, but in this case, we do not put strings around the property. This is just another JavaScript thing. You can either you can wrap it in string or you can leave that out. It doesn't matter. They both serve the same purpose. So then if we come just right here, you see that I can either access the elements of that object by just specifying the property name, and I append that to the variable with a dot, just like that. You'll also see that there is another way to do it. You can do the more associative array approach and do square brackets with the property name wrapped in quotes. So both serve the same purpose, just depends on what you prefer. So then I've got my print object function here. So JavaScript's nice, and they give you this syntax here for variable property in object. So this allows you to iterate over every object. Then you can print out the property, and then you can print out the value of the object like this. So if we run this, you see that we have examples of how to access manually. Then you see here that we did it iteratively with a loop and got the values that way. I apologize, I'm a little tired tonight. So the last concept I want to show is this right here. You can actually put an object within an object. So you can have a property called child, just like this, and within that have another object with values as well. And then to access the value of, let's say, David here, if we wanted that, we would get the variable, then the property, then the value, or the last property like this. So it continues to chain down. So you could put an object within an object within an object within an object, and then you would just continue to trail down until you actually find the value. So the last thing I'll mention is that later on in the semester, we're going to learn about something called JSON. Well, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So JSON is that right there. It's just an object. But you can store JSON locally in your browser, or you can transfer data with JSON. It's just a format that we present and transfer data in. So that's just something to be aware of. Then I just want to point you in the right direction to W3 Schools. It's got a nice primer, probably teaches this a lot better than I can, and it's got all the documentation here. So it's kind of talked about, it's going to talk about everything I've talked about plus some more that I did not cover here. But instead of boring you to death, I will just leave it there and let you guys look through that. I'll also link to the repo with this code in it so that you guys can review it. Thank you very much.